everyone. So this chapter gives us some much deeper dive into Brook's life even before becoming a regiment commander of Asperia's army, which, as per usual for backstories like this, Brook was essentially a street urchin with dreams of being a musician, and immediately one thing that stuck out to me is how much that passion kind of carried over into Brook's worldview and characterization. Like there should have been like the thing about Brook during his childhood is there should have been numerous times throughout this chapter where he felt dejected, given up, or anything. And don't get me wrong, he was definitely holding all that in, as seen with how he broke down at the end of the chapter. But the thing is, with even before then, with Brook, he maintained his optimism through basically all his hardship. And while there is, again, something to be said about the optimism being a mask to hide the pain, because it's Brook, it's also not hard to believe that he had that boundless optimism, even from being dejected by society, and how he, in some way, even though it was a mask, it was also genuine as well. I think if anything, Brook only ever felt like true. I think with Brook, there's only two times he ever felt. There's only two times he ever felt true despair. The first was when, the moment Isperia fell, because that's where he lost everything, and the second time was basically when he lost the Rumbar Pirates. So it's like this is one of those things that shows that like Brook, even like Brook before, he was just a boundlessly optimistic person, and in a way you could say joining the Straws, I think helped him regain a lot of his old self. Honestly, like he wasn't like between losing Asperia and losing the Rumbar Pirates, he definitely found himself in deep pits of despair, but it's because of the Strahd that he was able to reclaim a lot of the person like he used to be before all those tragedies happened to him. And which, yeah, on that note, this chapter also gave us a deeper look at Brook's relationship with the royal family, more specifically King Reuven. And aside from the obvious that Oda's really tugging at our heartstrings with this one to make it even more tragic when he and the entire Asperia like gets wiped off the map, I do like how this chapter shows Reuven was more than just Brook's king. He was very much a brother to Brook, someone who not only saw Brook's potential when others couldn't, but also genuinely cared about his well-being. I also like how being around Brook even changed Reuven's perspective about life, that there is more to life outside the palace walls, and even if it isn't like the most glamorous, there's still joys to be had. And in turn, Reuven again saved Brook's life by giving him a place to call home, something he never really had until this point, until that point. Now, in saying that, yeah, I don't think this. I do think the start of Asperia's downfall began on the day that Reuven and Kandel attacked the Navy platoon. Even for royalty, I doubt that'll go without consequence. And this is this is very much one of those moments where the first domino was going to drop, and I'd really hate to see what exacerbates the issue from here, because so far there's not been a whole lot that sticks out about this backstory aside from the stuff with Brook in terms of present day world building and circumstances. However, I do get I still do get the sense there is a deeper secret being kept about Asperia, a secret that, yes, is tied to the Void Century and maybe even the ancient weapons. And for me, it kind of starts in my mind with Kendall. Like the one thing that sticks out with this chapter and the last chapter as well is that Oda is being very secretive when it comes to diving more into Kendall's character and who she is. Like as of now, we know next to nothing about uh, her life, her life before all this, like outside of the fact that she's basically the commander of Asperia's army, and that's all we do know. And that unknown factor puts Kendall directly in the spotlight as probably being one of the biggest connecting factors as to what potentially caused Asperia's destruction, which in itself makes me think Kendall, and by virtue of Shuri Gunko, are descended from a race of people tied to the Void Century. Now, as far as specifics, again, we'll have to wait and see how it's fleshed out specifically from here, but there's too many just generally, there's too many unknowns about Condell for it to be just a coincidence that basically that Oda hasn't given us much to work with in terms of her character. Like Oda's planning something with her, whether it's to do with the eyes theory, like I mentioned, or some other factor that makes her uniquely tied to history. Like she basically isn't just she isn't just a character who's like she isn't just like a random character. No, she definitely has some importance for sure to history. I'm betting on that. Theories about Candela aside, though, I do like how we get a little sprinkling of her and Reuven's relationship in this chapter, as it kind of gives us a starting point, an idea of not only what drew them, I think, to each other, but also what Candel was like as queen. Which is to say, even though this is still before she became queen, you can tell just from the characterization itself that she was that Candel was likely one of those likely the one who took on a lot more of the administrative duties of the role of being queen, whereas Reuven was more so a public face as king. And of course, the one thing I really want to know is what Candel's relationship with Shuri was like, because that is the other part of this backstory that Oda is conveniently leaving out right now, and just seeing Candel and Shuri interact with each other, which I'm sure that like no like knowing what we know about Reuven, I'm sure Candel loves her daughter, but it's strange that we haven't seen how they interact yet. Although again, in the way that Shuri always seems to so bright and chipper and how she has talked about both her parents, I do get I do get the sense that much like Reuven, like she like Candel is a loving parent, but it's like I do want to see what that I do want to still see what that relationship in itself is like. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe from Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, Bishop Vacation Bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of signing off. Later, everyone.